Well, joining me now is Dr. Michael Turner. He's a pollster and political strategist. He's here in the studio. Mike, Nigel Farage was urged to do this. I think a lot of people in the UK thought, he was going to do it a couple of months ago. He's like, well, I'm surprised that, Rishi Sunak has called the election for early July. But did that change the timing for him, or was this always going to be the way he announced it?
Yeah, there was a hesitation, wasn't there? I mean, I think it's
a pretend one, perhaps.
Perhaps, and I certainly think that he has made the most of it. I mean, he would argue that the initial announcement set him back, and the polling now with the Conservatives going backwards, not forwards. I mean, most of the time
But they've been going backwards for months.
They have, but normally when you call an election, you expect it to tighten a little bit. People ultimately make their decision and kind of go, no, I don't want a Conservative government, I don't want a Labour government, and the choice is focused. Right. It's a bit unusual that the polling is showing the Conservatives going down further. I mean, our latest polling had them at a record low, the lowest since the Second World War, and now the YouGov poll that's come out recently has shown them getting even lower. So there is an element of smelling blood here, I think, but also at the same time, Nigel is a formidable campaigner, so we take what he says with a pinch of salt.
He is. He's got the Trump playbook. Fact-checking some of his arguments is useless because he hits all the right notes with those voters who are really frustrated with the current crop of politicians. So he is running in a winnable seat. It looks like Reform UK can win a couple of seats, not a big opposition, but they can certainly ruffle some feathers. So what are the single issues that they'll run on? Yeah,
I definitely believe that Clacton itself is a seat that Nigel can win. It's the former seat of Douglas Carswell, who stood in a by-election, stood down from the Conservatives, and then won that seat for UKIP, and then won it again with an even bigger majority in 2015. I think that the Reform Party will run on cultural issues. They'll run on immigration. They'll run on gender identity, social issues. They'll want to keep it focused on being anti-establishment, anti-Westminster, and I'm not expecting a particularly thick manifesto from Reform at this election.
A particularly thick manifesto, no, because that would just mean he ties himself in knots. I mean, Nigel Farage, watching him there dance across the stage, watching him interview Donald Trump, he's got the charisma, and I think that's what people want. They're sick of this kind of, they want an air of authenticity, don't they? And they now expect leaders to make mistakes. But what would the UK Parliament be like with Farage in it?
Yeah, well, it would certainly be more entertaining, as to say. If it's anything like his time in the European Parliament, which he spent a lot of time there, it will be loud, it will be brash, and it will be direct. And Nigel is someone who doesn't shirk away from saying things which are controversial, as we all know. But he's also someone who, ultimately likes to take issues on directly. He's effectively used the European Parliament as a campaigning chamber, and I believe that the UK Parliament will be much the same.
Yeah, right. Well, I look forward to hopefully having him on the show while I'm over there in London for the election, as you will be. Looking forward to it, Mike. We'll speak to you a lot.
Thanks, Laura.
See you soon.